going on, everybody? Welcome back, Dudes Who Bet Daily, September 1st, 2023. New month, same show, rocking through some sports picks here. Got a couple good baseball games, talk a little bit of college football as well. We got some horse racing on tap with two best bets coming from the track, one from Del Mar, one from Saratoga. Aaron was trying to join us from Branson. And Magic, I asked you this question before. I've given you a little time to think. When I think of Branson, one specific bad movie comes to mind. Any ideas? Any guesses?
No, not a clue.
She's Out of My League. Have you ever seen it?
Once.
Yeah, they always talk about going to Branson. For some reason, whenever I hear Branson, Missouri, She's Out of My League. It just pops into my head. Good FX movie at 11 o'clock at night if you're looking for something.
Isn't Jay Baruchel in that one?
Yeah.
They tried to make him
like
a lead. Yeah. Alice Eve is the female in that. Okay, yeah, no, that was not a good movie. Didn't she have like weird, like effed up feet, and that's why he's able to get her?
I don't think that's necessarily the storyline. It's because of his personality, and the personality is more important than looks is the general storyline, Magic, but I'm glad you went to the feet.
No, there's something. Doesn't she have like webbed feet or something? Yeah, she's got webbed toes. I remember like seeing that and being like, all right, I'm out. Like that's
what Magic takes away from it. I love it. Anyway,
that's why I'm never watching it again. That's for sure.
Man, hating on the webbed toes. Wow.
Yeah, thank you. See, I'm not the only one that remembered that. I'm scarred by that. No, I'm not watching that again.
That's Branson. Branson is what you should take away from that movie.
Bunch of dirty French people with webbed toes, I tell you what.
Jesus, French attacks again. Baguettes all over the world are upset. All right, let's jump into some college football to kick this puppy off. Stanford -3 versus Hawaii, total sitting at 55. Magic, you may be asking, why did Mike put this game up? Because it's Stanford and Hawaii, and it's a Friday night college football game, and it really probably shouldn't be on the rundown because it's not a big game or anything. This is a really interesting betting game, so I wanted to talk about this one at least a little bit here. Stanford was -10.5 10 days ago. Nothing has changed with Stanford. Now, Hawaii, who closed out the season covering 7 of 8 games last year, played very well in Vanderbilt, although it was Vanderbilt, so let's grain of salt there, right? Ends up almost winning and probably could have won outright as a 17-point dog. The line moves 7.5 points because of that performance. I can't remember an adjustment on a team this drastic off one single performance. If you look at the Mountain West odds to win the conference, 150 to 1. Now they're 35. Pretty big jump there. It makes me want to take Stanford -3 because a 7-point adjustment just seems massive in my mind off one game, Magic.
Yeah, I'm with you. And this is one of those things that, like, specifically in this case, you might be right to play Hawaii on with the line move, but generally over time, if you look at a large sample size, these kinds of overreactions, you're supposed to do what you're doing. That's why I would do Stanford -3 as well. It's just, especially if nothing changed on Stanford's end, it's like Hawaii is not a powerhouse. They're not like a super team here. Stanford, you also have a West Coast team that is going to, it's a 2-hour difference to Hawaii, but it's still going to be 8 p.m. body clock time for those Stanford players. It's not like we're bringing in like, a New York team all the way across to Hawaii. Like that's going to screw with their body clock. Stanford they should be fine. And this is the start of the season. These kids haven't played yet. Hawaii kind of came out with their asses on fire because it's first game of the year. Kids are all excited. Yeah, it's football season. Let's, fresh start. That's Stanford right now. And then they're probably seeing this line move and going, well, that's a bunch of bullshit. Like, not only are we smarter than all those kids, we're better than them at football. So let's go beat them.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting here. The fact that Hawaii has a game under their belt, too, there's a misnomer out there that if you played a game, you have an advantage over a team that has not played a game. The advantage is actually Stanford seeing Hawaii on tape. They actually have something to prepare for and know exactly what to expect coming into the game, where Hawaii does not have that same edge on Stanford. This was sitting at 3.5 all week. It finally got down to 3 yesterday. I'm just going to sit here and wait and see if I can get a 2.5 with Stanford. If not, I'm probably going to be a buyer at 3 on Stanford because I can't accept a 7.5-point line move in a single week. To me, that's just too drastic of a difference. Yes, I get it. The market was probably wrong, but wrong by the key number of 10, the key number of 7, the key number of 6, the key number of 4, and the key number of 3. I'm not so sure that's necessarily that big of a adjustment. Maybe Hawaii will blow them out tonight, but to me, that line adjustment or line move is just a little bit too much.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. I don't really ever take Hawaii seriously until it's bowl season, and then they're hosting somebody on their island. But
yeah,
but you got to remember too, like the recent Maui fires, like that's going to screw with the Hawaiian players. Like, this could be a letdown spot for them after they had the emotion in that first game.
Win total for Hawaii was 3. They also played on Saturday and had to fly back to the island. They played in Vanderbilt, which was East Coast, so that's over a 6-hour time change. And they have one less day to prepare than a normal week. So a bunch of other things that I don't love from a spot perspective here for Hawaii. All right, let's jump into baseball. This was a fun one yesterday. We talked about the over 8. They put up a crisp 15, and that over cashed, and I believe it was a 4th inning, one of the easier overs we've had all year. Braves minus 130 heading in to take on the Dodgers. This is just one of those series I feel like we almost have to talk about every day. We got Fried on the mound versus Urias for the Dodgers. Should be another fun one. Papadou took the Dodgers money line last night. They came up a run short, lost 8-7 there. I kind of want to just go over this total again. I mean, I think the pitching is actually going to be a little better tonight, but a move from 8.5. And by the way, that game last night closed at 9. So it went up from 8 when we talked about that yesterday morning, all the way to closing at 9. It's at 8.5 this morning. Wind is blowing out toward left field, 10 miles per hour again today. I don't see how this game doesn't go over again. These offenses are just dynamic.
Yeah, you've got the Braves too. You can get a player prop with Ronald Acuna Jr. over 1.5 total bases as plus money. He had 3 hits, 6 bases total in game 1. He's hitting .314 right now against lefties. And you got Julio Reyes coming on. So if I was going to do a bet in this, I think the over is good. I like that Acuna bet that I mentioned. It's over 1.5 total bases and it's plus 120. So that's he's averaging 3 total bases per game in his last 7 games. So more offense, get those balls a-flying in LA.
I gotta say, I agree with Jason.
I know, I saw that. It threw me off for a second. Thank you. Yeah,
looking good. He got a haircut yesterday. We talked about it before the Magic Mike show. I thought he did a good job with that cut. Looking good with the trim.
Got a new barber. He is excellent. Love the guy.
Michael, I'm going to disagree that it's a 4-hour time change because it's 3 hours from Santa Barbara to Hawaii. I made that trek about a month ago. And I'm pretty sure Vanderbilt's in the East Coast time zone. I think Tennessee's East Coast, isn't it?
They're in Nashville. They might be in that weird. They're in Central Time, so it's 5 hours.
Yeah, so 5-hour time difference.
Hawaii's 3 hours from us. I always think it's 2 from California. I think that's where Michael was thinking too, is that they were on a 2 hour. It's 3. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, 3-hour time difference from LA to Hawaii. I've done that flight recently. All right, so Central Time Zone. So it's a 5-hour time change. Yeah, so 5 hours. So we'll split the difference of the 4 and the 6 there. All right.
Yeah, okay. Everybody's telling us it's Central. There's a 10-second time delay from when we say something to you guys hear it. So now the chat's blowing up with Nashville's in Central. Thank you.
Pretty much to me, Chicago East is East Coast time. I realize that's not necessarily correct, but pretty much to me, everything east of Chicago is East Coast time zone. All right, here we go. Let's go on to our next baseball game here. The Phillies and the Brewers, another big-time matchup here. 2 teams that are fighting for playoff contention. Brewers seem to have the NL Central locked up at this point. Total sitting at a paltry 7.5 in this spot. Magic, who do you like?
Give me the Phillies here. They set a franchise record with 59 home runs in August. That's the most they've ever had in a month in franchise history. 3rd most by any major league team in a single month since 1904. They went 17-10 in August. They've got that nice 3-game lead on the Cubs right now. They're facing Freddie Peralta, who himself had a really great August. It went 5-0 with 5 starts with a 2.10 ERA. But 4 of those games came against the Nationals, the Rockies, the White Sox, the Padres. They're all sub 500. He did beat the Rangers, but those other 4 games tell me he was beaten up on cupcakes. The Phillies are going to smack the shit out of the ball here, and he is 0-2 in 5 appearances against the Phillies. So I'm going to take the Phillies here. If it's minus 105 each way, hell yeah, give me the Phillies.
Yeah, I went back and forth on this one. I think it's going to be a pretty good game. I kind of lean toward the over. The 7.5 seems a little bit low to me. I realize both these pitchers pretty solid. The wind is blowing into left field about 10.3 miles per hour, or that's the assumed projection here, which kind of makes me a little bit more hesitant to play the over, especially because the Phillies have been home run dependent here. I agree with you. I think this is Phillies or pass, over for pass. Not sure if I'm going to end up playing either of these, but we'll see. We'll see what happens here. I think it's going to be another fun game that I want to take a peek at here. Magic, I didn't put it in the rundown. You playing JP Sears first 5 today?
Ooh, what are the odds at? I didn't look at that. I'm a little behind. We're in the. Go ahead.
5 against the Angels and Pablo Sandoval.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
I was almost surprised it wasn't your best bet. Well, you didn't, because it's your boy JP Sears on the mound against a weaker opponent and catching plus money first 5. So I want to at least throw that one out there for you.
No, that's good. You would appreciate this as a parent. We're at the stage right now where our child is having nightmares and is afraid of the dark all the time. So we're taking turns sleeping on the floor in his room. So I'm a little groggy right now. Sorry.
Yeah, not fun. The star lamps, they're clutch as a parent there because
We got one coming. We've got one coming. We've heard that.
throw some light on that ceiling and it's all good to go. All right, jump into the race of the day, heading to Saratoga, race number 9. 5.5 furlong sprint. First time in, I'm going to say 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks. Every race is on the turf at Saratoga, and the weather should hold out through the weekend. So at least we have we'll say a positive turf ending to what has been a pretty rough Saratoga meet. Going 5.5 furlong state bred, 45K N2X allowance here. Interesting favorite here, a horse that we know well, Disarmed here, who has taken to the turf and run very, very well the last 3 times turf sprinting. Going to be 7-2 favorite on the morning line. Magic, you going with Disarmed? You going somewhere else?
Boy, this was I spent so much time looking back and forth, going, no, I don't like that horse. That horse, that's speed and quit. No, that horse is speed and quit. No, that horse is just bad. I don't know. I went with the 2 Vacation Dance here. I think this is an interesting move. First of all, cutting back from a couple of turf routes, but this horse is also dropping in class. We were facing Stakes Company in the last 4 races. 3 of those were open company 3-year-old races, not just facing New York. Now we're facing Olders for the first time, but I should say first time in the last 4 races. But I think this is a good spot for the horse. Has shown like Saratoga in the past, broke the maiden on debut over this exact course and distance. Almost won the Grade 3 Futurity behind Najarok, and we saw how good Najarok ended up being out of that race, and then won a stakes at 6 furlongs. Castellano was aboard for the Futurity near win. Colson's coming in to help me out with this race. But I like the fact that we're cutting back to 6 furlongs, and this is something you kind of taught me before, is you get a horse with speed going 2 turns who cuts back to sprinting. I think Castellano being aboard is going to be... You go ahead and talk for a second. He's throwing a fit.
Yeah, I actually like the 2 here in this spot as well. Vacation Dance didn't put the horse on top, but I do think it makes quite a bit of sense. Dropping from these restricted stakes races, falling into N2X Company should be a good fit. Ran in a Grade 3 Futurity second time out as well, so I thought quite a bit of this horse. I thought this was a tough race. I kind of went between a bunch of different horses. I have the 8 on top. I don't love the 8 at the price of 7-2. I take a little bit of a shot with the 1-horse Icy Flavor here. Kimmel picks this horse up. It's been sprinting in Southern California. I think you're going to have more speed than anyone else in this field. And if Icy Flavor can get to the front, I think he can be awfully dangerous here, running against State Bred Company for the first time since you obviously can't run against New York State Breds in California. IRED picks up the mount, the geld the horse as a 4-year-old off a longer layoff, so improvement angle there as well. To me, Icy Flavor 5-1, probably the win bet, although I do have the 8 on top.
This was my second choice, was Icy Flavor, and the reason I went with Vacation Dance instead is I'm a little worried about the horse breaking from the rail off of such a long layoff, because he does have speed. He showed it in his 2 turf starts. But if he just is like a little slow, or if the horses come down on him, that long layoff, and doesn't have any like super sharp works on the page, and you go, yeah, he's going to come flying out with his tail on fire. But you do have to love IRAD picking it up at 5-1 too.
I love the chat right now. Curtis defending Lane Kiffin with all his heart. I love that. Interesting to see there. You don't see a bunch of Lane Kiffin defenders all the time. So Curtis, good on you for defending.
That's
Lane.
A decision.
Man who can't defend himself there. And yeah, this is kind of funny. Let me see if I can find it here. Spectrum apparently canceled a bunch of things yesterday on a lot of people, including ESPN. I know I got a text from Doc about this as well. So if you are a plugged in person still, time to rip that cord out. Go over to YouTube TV. It's been a blast.
Was it like a contract thing?
Yeah, apparently they lost a couple channels, and they did it right before football yesterday, and that made a couple people angry because they couldn't watch the underhit in the first half of Utah and Florida, and Utah really just smacked the crap out of them. Funny game yesterday. I kind of wish Aaron was on here. I'm assuming you didn't watch college football last night, Magic, but no. Nebraska pulled off one of the best defeats I've ever seen in my life. I mean, they absolutely controlled the game, ended up having 5 turnovers. They were up a touchdown against an anemic Minnesota offense who only put up 13 points in the game. Gave up one of the better 4th and 10 touchdown receptions I've seen. The guy drags his back foot and gets it down before the front foot stops, then immediately turn the football over and allow Wisconsin to kick a game-winning field goal. I think Nebraska led 75% of that game and blew a 4th down, turned it over a 5th time, and Nebraska ends up going down in their season opener. Absolutely brutal. Yeah, well, it was special. How did Nebraska lose is a very fair question.
Who's the the Minnesota's head coach, PJ Fleck. He coached Western Michigan, which is from my hometown Kalamazoo. So I always like when Minnesota does well just because of PJ Fleck. So good for them. Good for PJ and the Golden Gophers. Why is everything golden?
I don't know. Well, never mind. I'm not going to make that joke. Rodney, you're correct. Yeah, the Nebraska quarterback, not the best at reading defenses. Let's say if the first look is there, it's fine. And if he runs, it's fine. If he does anything else, not so fine. And that was a big-time problem there. Yeah, Minnesota continuing to row the boat there. It was a big win for them. They had to win that at home in conference. All right, let's go to the best bets of the day. We'll kick it off with Aaron's here. He wanted to play Carl Sparkler. I reminded him that you can't play 2 to 5 shots on this show. So he went with a straight exacta here. He's going 2-1, the one horse Sherry DeVoe's entry in the race. You had a couple big scratches here. This is the grade 3 Saranac Stakes. It's the graded stakes. It's the 4th race on the card because you have a heavy favorite here in Carl Sparkler who should look good. The other main contender really was most likely Activist Investing here. The other Chad Brown horse ends up scratching out. He put the one taking Candy in second here. I agree with this one. Horse has tactical speed, won over this course last time at a bit of a price. Stepping up in class, but it has the numbers to kind of fit to be able to beat the rest here as long as Lost Ark doesn't take to the turf. Did you look at the Saranac at all, Magic?
I mean, initially, and I was like, oh, Carl Spackler is in here, Activist Investing. Chad Brown's going to have the exacta. When I saw the scratches, I was like, all right, I'm going to root. I'm not just shot against Aaron. If I was going to play this, I'd probably play Lost Ark just because Carl Spackler, 2 to 5 easily. Ooh.
Yeah, easily, right? I mean, the horse is going to get hammered without the other Brown in there.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to my best bet of the day here. I'm going to take Central Michigan and Michigan State to state battle that Magic knows well. Under 45 here today. Look, Michigan State's offense, it's not fixed. That's really the key to this bet. They're a 14-point favorite. I think they're going to win the football game. Central Michigan, not good last year. I think they were 5-7 last year, 3-5 in 4-8 last year, 3-5 in conference. Michigan State's offensive line is still a problem. Aaron mentioned this yesterday. When you got 2 quarterbacks, you have none. That's kind of where Michigan State is. Their starter transferred out to go to Auburn. They have 2 quarterbacks that they are trying to figure out who's going to be the starting guy. I expect it's going to be the same guy who started last year. This is just not an offense. It's going to be able to move the football up and down. But the defense at Michigan State, very good. Central Michigan, one of the better non-Power 5 defenses as well. So give me the under 45 here. I think we're going to have a couple grind them out games. I am just waiting for the narrative after this week to hear about how you have to play unders and how the clock is all this different, because we saw 2 brutal games as our primetime games last night with that Minnesota and Nebraska game go way under. That was 13-10. And the Utah game go way under as well, 24-11 on a 44 total. So I can just hear the narrative already. Play the unders, play the unders. I think this is more the teams that are playing than the clock rules right now. But we'll see how it affects it through the full weekend. But give me the under here, Central Michigan, Michigan State at 45. Magic, what Michigan fan are you? You're from Detroit.
No, I'm from Kalamazoo. I literally just said that.
Fine, you're from Kalamazoo. That's in Michigan too, though, right?
Yes, it is. Yeah, that's West Michigan. I like to see them all do well. Now that I've left the state, I was a Michigan State fan I am a Michigan State fan whenever they play each other because I like rooting for the underdogs. That's why I'm a Clippers fan too. Because when the Lakers win or when the Wolverines win, it's like, well, yeah, you're supposed to do that. But when the other team wins, it's like, haha, we got you, bitch. Like we can celebrate. You can't really gloat because you just beat the shit out of us. So it's kind of how I landed on Michigan State and the Clippers. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize I thought there was only East Lansing, Ann Arbor, and Detroit. I didn't realize there were other cities in Michigan.
From Derek Jeter. Yeah, Derek Jeter and I, both from Kalamazoo, Michigan. There you go.
There you go. I'd say he was a little better at baseball than you.
Yeah, a little better with the ladies, too, if you know some of the stories.
I've heard stories, Magic. I've heard stories. All right, let's close it out. Magic,
still better, though.
Magic's best bet here, headed to Del Mar, race number 6. Tell us about it.
Yeah, race number 6. It's a maiden 3 and up race going 6.5 on the dirt, and the horse in here, Poetica, who I really like. 5-2. I think if you get anything close to that, probably 2-1, maybe 8-5 range is what she'll end up being. But her first race of her career, we saw her at Del Mar last fall. She got 4th behind a horse in here, Miss Monarch Bay, as well. But the winner was Feza. Feza didn't lose again until back at Pimlico back in May. Lily Pooh, she was a eventual stakes winner, Golden Gate Field, the California Oaks. So 2 really good fillies to be facing there. The reason I like her more than Miss Monarch Bay, she has more pace, and there isn't a whole lot in here. I think the 5 is kind of speed and quit. I think the 3 sits right behind her. and gets a great trip. But she also is coming second off of the long layoff where Miss Monarch Bay, we haven't seen her since that November 12th race. She was a good second to Jensko. Jensko exited that race to be, I believe, third in a really good race behind just a freak Bob Baffert horse that ran off on her. But Jensko also pretty much went gate to wire. Poetica just wasn't able to catch her. Jensko, a much more talented filly than the 5-horse Strikingly in here, who's trying dirt for the first time since June 4th, way back in 2022. She's gone 11 starts on the turf and synthetic since then. And they're like, all right, we'll just try the dirt because it's the end of the meet at Del Mar. We want to get one more start in her. So give me the 3 Poetica. Anything that's really, 7-5, 8-5 on up, I think she ends up winning this.
Yeah, I don't mind Poetica at all here. I had her as my number 2 pick. I had the 1 horse, Miss Monarch Bay, coming off a year-long layoff from Michael McCarthy, close to $1 million Into Mischief on the rail as my top pick. But I'm not going to knock Poetica at all. She's a deserving favorite in this spot and probably your most likely winner. Miss Monarch Bay also in that race that you referenced back against Feza and Lily Poo. I think it's clearly the 2 of them and then the rest of this field.
Yeah, it really just, it's kind of funny that they both come out of that race and you look like that's a really productive Del Mar maiden race for fillies there. You don't see too many like with that kind of talent like that.
Well, that's one of my favorite parts about Saratoga and Del Mar. Like a year later, looking back at the 2-year-old races and see which ones were actually monster races, because there's all so much hype around a lot of these 2-year-old races, and sometimes they deliver, and that one is definitely an example of one that delivers.
The chat is delivering as well, talking about Derek Jeter and Minka Kelly is the actress's name. They're talking about Lila Garrity from Friday Night Lights.
Yeah. The baskets were...
that's my favorite Jeter story ever. I don't think anything will top that. The basket of baseballs.
You get a gift basket and an NDA on your way out. That's the word on the street.
I had a ball last night. Here's some for you. The joke used to be, what's the worst thing you can give your boyfriend for Valentine's Day? It's a signed Derek Jeter autographed Jeter baseball.
Yeah. Not a good sign. You know where that came from. All right, let's go through the best bets of the day here and get off before we get ourselves in trouble, because I've got additional jokes that I'm just going to hold in for now. All right, Aaron, going to Saratoga, race number 4, playing the 2-1 Exacta Cold. Magic Del Mar, race number 8, number 3, 5-2 on the morning line. Give me the battle of the Michigans, the Chippewas and the Spartans. I'll take the under 45 on the 2 best teams in Michigan. 1 and 2 yesterday, down $100, up $311 for the year. Thank you very much for joining us. Be back Saturday and Sunday here with more Dudes Who Bet Daily. Everyone, good luck with all your bets today, and we'll see you at the track.